Hey Saints, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to be looking at the players that are out of contract at the end of 2025. The reason why I think this is an interesting video is because this season particularly, we re-signed a lot of players. So we got rid of a lot of players, but we also had a lot of players out of contract, and we didn't know who we were going to extend on for 2025, 2026 and beyond. Some players got 2-year deals. A couple got more than that, but a majority of these new signings, the extensions, were 1-year deals. So obviously the biggest one, and we'll talk about him, is Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, but there is a substantial list of players that will be under pressure next season to perform. Who's got the most on the line out of these players, and what do they need to do to earn that extension? So I'll go through the list very quickly and then we'll just kind of break it down from there. So the list as it stands, players that are out of contract in 2025 are Angus Hastie, Angus McLennan, Ari Shawmaker, Dougal Howard, Hugo Garcia, Hunter Clark, Isaac Keeler, Jack Carroll, Jimmy Webster, Liam O'Connell, Liam Stocker, Marcus Windhager, Max Hall, Max Heath, Machito Owens, Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, Ryan Burns, Zane Cordy, and Zach Jones. That is a significant list. I don't know if you agree with me, but that is quite the list, and there's, I reckon, 85% of those players that I've just mentioned are players that I think are part of our long-term plan. So for all of them to be going into next season, not having a contract beyond next season is interesting and possibly exciting. I think maybe, we've seen all the talk of all these big deals, all these long-term contracts. Obviously, Max King's one was the most recently talked up one. But maybe these 1-year deals is something that we are using as that added motivation that you just can't slack off, that you have to go that extra mile before you get that extension. I'm not sure if that's a deliberate play by the club. Obviously, there's a lot of different things at play in terms of back-ending contracts, obviously managing the salary cap. This time next year, we are talked up to be very heavily, active in the free agency area, LDU, these types of players, Brayshaw. We've heard it all before. Maybe these 1-year deals are a ploy to when we get to that point of the season and maybe some of these players haven't performed. It's just an easy out. We save the salary cap and we've got even more money to go and throw at some of these big names that we want. So I don't know if these are connected. They may well be. They may not be. I'm not too sure. But if you've got a bit of a theory, put it in the comments. Obviously, the key ones that stand out to me, Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, Machito Owens, Hugo Garcia, Ari Shawmaker, Hunter Clark, and Marcus Windhager. I mean, Marcus Windhager, Naz, and Owens all out of contract end of next year. That's massive. That's massive. They're the three that we drafted in the one hit in 21, I believe, or 22. And that was kind of the kickstart of this focus on youth and seeing how well we've been doing with that lately. So it's an interesting position to be in because usually you get to a lot of clubs and they got players that are maybe on the aging side. So Zach Jones, Zane Cordy, these are the guys, Dougal Howard, those are kind of the three of the oldest players, Jimmy Webster, of the oldest players there that on that list that you kind of know they're going to have to perform exceptionally well to get that new deal. Zach Jones, we know he got the one this year because of his back end this year. Can he back it up again? If he doesn't, maybe that's it. Jimmy Webster, 14 years of service. He is by far, he's 6 years clear of the next best in Hunter Clark with 8 years service on this list. So the majority of this list is made up of players with 2 years experience, 3 years experience, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 5, 4, 4, 3, and then the rest are 6, 6, 8, and 14. So 80% of this list is of players that have only been in the system 4 years and probably have less than 50 to 60 games experience. And Hunter Clark, 8 years, but he's been injury prone for maybe half of those. So you can kind of see why some of these players are on this list. We just need to make sure that we lock down the right ones and that I guess it puts pressure on the club itself to perform, because if we don't perform well, is Nasiah going to be looking around? I hope not. I hope that's one that we can get done early. I don't want to be in a Chad Warner situation where we get to the end of the year and we're getting We're hearing rumours of clubs throwing, especially the South Australian clubs, throwing multiple first-round picks our way to get Naz to go home. We've worked too hard to get a good South Australian contingent now at the club I personally think that Naz isn't going anywhere. So I'm not here to make a video speculating what his future holds. I'm just merely stating a fact that this time next year, a lot of these players may still be out of contract. And maybe, hopefully midway through the year, we'll get a few of these locked down. But the ones that we want locked down, obviously Naz, Owens, Windhager. I think Hunter Clark's got a massive year. Aside from the youngsters, in terms of the senior players, Hunter Clark out of contract, 8 years service, getting midfield time now, needs to stay on the park. Absolutely, he's a restricted free agent, but he's probably he would be the one that you could kind of see things happening with, just because he's got experience, he's injury prone, but he's got skills. Maybe our midfield goes beyond him with some of these young kids coming through, and there's definitely going to be suitors for him at other clubs. Absolutely there would be. He's still in that perfect demographic, hasn't hit his prime yet. Maybe that's you could see a Geelong sniffing around, for instance. A Geelong could go for him 100%. I love him. I want him to stay, but he needs to perform. So the pressure's on him. The youngsters, it's really just up to getting their opportunity and taking it. Ronnie Burns is another one, 6 years service. I thought he was pretty good for portions of this year. I thought he was really good. He deserved, I thought, more than just the 1 year deal that I think we gave him. I thought 2 or 3 would have been worth it, just 2 even. But he got the 1. So again, players need to be switched on all season. This is a do or die situation, and this isn't really a strategy I don't think St Kilda's gone with for a long time. I think it's only the last couple of years since Ross, and perhaps it's more of a ruthless approach that, hey, you're welcome to shop around. We're giving you 1 year. Prove yourself. Prove yourself, or go shop around, see what you can do. And, we did that with Tim Membry. We gave him 1 year. He left. He was more experienced, had offers, he left. So how many of these players are going to be in that same boat where we give them 1 year again next year, and they think they can get more, and we asking, to shop around? It's an interesting position to be in when it comes to the list. But Nasiah is the one. We need to get him locked down. To me, he's a chance of being a future All-Australian halfback flanker. But the ability to move into the midfield excites me too. I think that is understated. I think he can absolutely do that. And then beyond that, Dougal Howard is an interesting one, because we did draft a fullback. A lot of people are still skeptical about Dougal Howard as a fullback. Is there a need for other clubs? Perhaps. Ari, I think we'll sign him up pretty comfortably. McLennan, precarious one, just because he only played a handful of games this season. He was all right, but he wasn't amazing. So I think next season he's going to have to back it up, especially with Jimmy Webster potentially this being his last year. He may well go on, but I think a lot of people think maybe Jimmy's going on just for 1 more year to finish up. Maybe Angus is that sort of back pocket in waiting. Same with Stocker. There's Hasty as well. We've got players in that ilk of what Webster does, that if he finishes up, they're going to be fighting for the same spot, which is exciting, but also a bit stressful for some of these lads. So 2025 is a big year for the club itself, but I think it's very big for some of these individual players here that make up the club. I just hope that this time next year we're not looking at a situation where we've let go of a couple of these boys and they had good years, but we weren't willing to commit more than 1 year, and they found suitors somewhere else and bites us in the arse and they perform well. But that's potentially 12 months away. So this is just a bit of a list update video. Obviously, Nasiah is our biggest player out of contract. Personally, for me, I love the competition for spots. I think it's really important, so I can see how a 1 year deal can just, light that fire. But to me, I kind of hope that the culture is at that point where if you give players 2 or 3 years, that it's irrespective, they're going to be performing at a high level. And I think we're getting to that point. But with a lot of youth coming through, we're going to need them to fight it out. As ruthless as that is, as harsh as that may be, they're going to be fighting it out for some very, very similar positions, and, best player wins. So that's the situation going into next season, saying is we need to lock down some of these young guns, but obviously some of these senior boys, their career at St Kilda is on the line. No doubt there's players here that will have other clubs looking around at that midway point of the season when perhaps, they haven't signed on, but maybe they're going all right. There's going to be clubs sniffing around. And that's a wrap, Saners. Thank you very much for watching. A little bit of a list update going into next season with players out of contract. More videos to come in the next week. As always, please subscribe. Let's hit 12,000 by the end of the year. That'd be amazing. And I'll see you very soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, Saners. Take care. And as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.